Hi, welcome to this week's episode of Mindscape TV. I am Jeff Bell, Director of Digital Marketing Services here at Mindscape, and with me is Jim Buchanan. And today we're talking about the evolution of keyword research. Keyword research historically has always been a very important and foundational aspect of digital marketing, and figuring out exactly what content you should have on your site and in factoring in how you're going to rank in the search engines. Over the years, though, with Google's many different changes, keyword research seems to be taking less and less of an important foundational role. So, Jim, if you could walk us through kind of historically how keyword research has been done, or at least in the way that we have done it.
Typically, in the last 5 years, we've used the Google AdWords tool to get search volume, to get a general idea of competition from other sites, and sometimes also an idea of how much those keywords would cost if we were doing an AdWords campaign. And the importance of keywords was everywhere. It was in the search, it was in the links that people were building, and that led to a lot of spam. And
so what do you mean it was in the links? Like, you have to make sure that keywords were, if you were getting links coming into your site, they'd have to be kind of keyword optimized links. So if you're going for test 1, 2, 3 as your keyword, you'd want to make sure the link coming from site A is test 1, 2, 3 back to your website.
Exactly. And that became very important for ranking. And as Google has evolved and tried to update their search results, we have found that they're putting less and less importance on those, well, at least spamming those types of keywords. Mm-hmm. But also, as Jeff will talk about later, Google seems to be going away from not using keywords at all, but certainly less important on using certain keywords.
Right, yeah, and that, we've seen this over the past probably 2 years, I think, is when they started to introduce, in Google Analytics, you used to be able to get all of your keywords listed when you were looking at your organic traffic. Maybe 3 years ago now, they started to hide some of those in the not provided bucket from anyone that was logged into any Google property. So that just suddenly started to take away some visibility into the keywords that were driving traffic to your site. We then see some of the other things. At the time, Google said that would account for maybe, I think, 10% is what they said of websites. We see some of our partners now with their some of the not provided are in the 60 to 70% range for not provided. So it depends on your demographic. I think if you have a more technically adept demographic for your site that likely has Gmail accounts and things like that, I think you'll see those not provided taking up a larger majority of your keywords, of that keyword space. But if we look now towards some of the other Google algorithm updates that have put in place, they're really starting to focus more on content and saying, let us figure out what the keywords are. I think the first step of that, if you ask me, was the not provided. Then there was the introduction of the knowledge graph. So a lot of the information is now being driven by Google databases, not from websites. You search for any person on the internet, Justin Timberlake, Barack Obama, you name it, any famous person, you're going to get knowledge graph results on the right-hand side. That data is coming from Google's data sources, not from websites that are being crawled and that type of stuff. So Google is now owning that data, and and they're building off of that now. Just last week, I believe it was at Google I/O, they introduced in the latest version of Chrome a conversation search, so that you can kind of just have a conversation with your computer and say, how tall is Barack Obama was their demo, and it would say Barack Obama is 6 foot 1 inches tall. And then you can say, well, how old is he? Now, that's an important differentiator there, because their search engine is now starting to understand pronouns. I didn't have to say how old is Barack Obama, and it goes and queries websites and gives me a list of websites. I just asked how old is he, and it knows that, I was just talking about Barack Obama, so it knows he is a reference to Barack Obama, and then the information I get back is actually from the knowledge graph again. So we're not having to go sift through that information and go find it on a website somewhere. Google is delivering that to us, so it's putting less and less and less emphasis on those keywords. There was no website optimized for the long tail, how tall is Barack Obama? There was no website that was optimized for that. Google just knows information about persons, places, things, that type of information, and is storing those as data points now. And that is now feeding into Google Now, which according to Google, they kind of see more as the future of search. And Google Now is the mobile app that will deliver information directly to your phone before you even need to search. It's more like predictive search. It can read all of your Google properties if you allow it to, your Google Calendar, your Gmail account, and you pull your phone out of your pocket if you got an Android-powered phone, and if you've got a flight and you're at a meeting, it'll show you driving directions and give you your check-in ticket right on your phone without you having to do anything. So Google is really seeing that as the next iteration of search. But again, all of this goes to the Google Knowledge Graph, and it goes to the importance of, from an organic standpoint, the importance of content on your website helping you rank, so that Google can, glean from the content those keywords, but also what they really are trying to go after is a compelling brand story for you. Tell your story using videos, tell your story using infographics and great copywriting, but it's a branded story which creates a better experience for visitors, and that's really what Google wants websites to do. They want to make sure they're delivering good quality websites and good quality experiences, not these thin sites with keyword stuffing and all that type of stuff that are just there to make money off of ads or what have you. So on the organic side, I think that's really where keywords are kind of moving to. It's moving more away from keywords and more towards content and compelling brand stories.
And the keywords will still be important on the organic side when you're talking about your site architecture, how you're going to build out your site. As kind of a basis, they're going to be very important. But again, as Jeff said, we just think the whole crux of the Google search results is going to be based on your content, your brand. So we're thinking of different ways of doing our keyword research rather than just the classic way of spitting words into Google and have them spit 1,000 words back at you with the data point.
Sure, yeah. And we're evolving those processes all the time. But now, how do you think that plays out on the paid side, on like the AdWords side?
Paid side still definitely, since you're paying for each click on an ad coming from a keyword, the keyword research is much more important on the paid side.
Yeah.
Both looking for competition and relevance to your products or services, and also you can get an idea of the cost in the keyword research.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the paid side integrates with the knowledge graph, and as Google starts delivering more and more results itself instead of a list of websites, I'll be curious to see how Google integrates advertisements and that type of stuff into that paradigm. So that'll be interesting. But
it'll also be interesting. I mean, Google obviously has our keyword information. The choosing or the not provided part. That's something that they're not giving us. They still have that. But when we use AdWords, we're getting all of our keyword information.
Right.
We're getting how many times that the keyword has been searched for, and we're getting that. We trust that to be real data. Whereas the Google keyword research tool, unreliable would be a
Right, yeah.
good way. We use it kind of as a guideline.
Yeah.
More like a comparison between keywords rather than, well, this keyword definitely got searched for 1,000 times a month.
Yeah.
That data is just not as accurate as you get when you pay for the data through AdWords.
Sure, yeah, that's a good point. So yeah, overall, I think the evolution of keyword research, it continues to evolve. We're continuing to evolve with it. But in our opinion, we see content and creating a compelling brand experience becoming far more important to your visitors than traditional keyword research. So as you move forward in developing your next website or continuing to evolve your own, make sure you're telling your story in a branded way, in a compelling way, using as many different types of media as you can to create great, compelling content and tell your story. So I think that's it for this episode. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. We hope you found this episode valuable, relevant, and interesting, that you'll like, comment, and share our videos, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Mindscape HM Please join us on Facebook and Twitter at Mindscape HM, or read our blog posts and join us online at mindscape-hm.com. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you next week.